Creative Juice Without Pulp. I'm your host Elliot, and this is the third episode of Adelaide Creatives. It's a show where I interview Adelaide-based creatives. Who would have thought? So on this episode, I have Friday night drinks with the director and co-founder of Bad, which is an agency based in Adelaide. And we talk about starting the agency, we talk about running the agency. Matt actually gives advice for young creatives on how to get into the industry. So hit the like and subscribe button, and let's get to the video.
Record away. It's one of those things that it's just worked for me. It got me through the last dry July. Although I say it was the last dry July, in truth, it was like 6 Julys ago, because I've tried every year and I haven't been able to do it. I keep doing try July, and that's where I go wrong. I'm gonna move. I don't like my backdrop here, mate. A video about creativity and branding and all that kind of shit. You can't just be sitting in a simple, clean little environment. You need to flip it up.
Yeah. I got my wardrobe as my background.
I love that. But see, what you should do is just have, stack it so you can fold it one way and then reveal something amazing in the back line.
Yeah.
And then we can put a bit of fucking brand in there.
Oh, yeah. That's
Mate.
Easy.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Go. I need a clapper. That's clapping in.
Hello and welcome to Adelaide Creatives on Creative Juice Without Pulp. I'm your host, Elliot Wagner, and today we're talking to the Adelaide creative, Matt Minear.
Yo!
So, Matt, you're the co-founder of Bad.
So much for having me. We're doing that. You talk it up. Well, I'll go and then you go.
You go.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. So Matt, you're the co-founder of Bad. Who is Bad and what does Bad do?
God, everyone in here, mate. So Bad is a branding, advertising and design agency. I started it with a friend of mine a number of years ago. It feels like 40, but it was only 4. If that gives you an indication of what it's been like. But it's been a really great time. It's been total chaos, a word I use far too much, but with great gusto and passion. So you can't soda water. I'm drinking soda water. It's making me gassy. Yeah. So we've been sort of running. I was with KDP advertising for many, many years. Loved it. Had a fantastic time. I've been around the advertising industry since a child and very much fell in love with the creation of sort of concept through to completion, I guess, at every touch point. And that's been a big part of sort of who I am, I guess, as a creative, I love the follow through. I think I was always one of those people. I remember getting told off many years ago by an unnamed creative director. He said, stop trying to produce everything. Just come up with ideas. And that was great. I appreciate you, James, and I love you very, very dearly. But I think for me, it was a big part of that process. Creativity doesn't just stop at a concept. It's your responsibility to see it all the way through. And strangely enough, I think that was something we really took on board in the concept and the execution of Bad. We are all hands on deck. I think everyone in here would proudly say they, have more than one role and are involved in a project far more than where their potential title or whatever you want to call it may be.
Yeah, right. So how many people do you have at Bad?
Too many and not enough. We're constantly growing, mate. We've sort of gone through ebbs and flows and changes. It's been one of those things that, we always wanted to be a small creative agency, so we could use the word nimble a lot and, really enjoy the process. But as it would be with time, you develop fantastic lasting relationships with clients, and what starts as project to project to project turns into sort of, retainer to retainer to retainer, and you end up with a lot of work. So we're going through those stages, and it's a lot of fun. But we always need more people, and that's a fantastic segue for you to ask me a question around how do young creatives get a job in an agency?
So I got a question. How would you say a young creative would go about getting a job in an agency?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
There are many ways to do it. I think a lot of people will look to, like yourself, award school and those kind of things.
Yeah.
I think in the past, that's been used as a little bit of an excuse as a filter. Now, I love the guys at award school. I'm a huge believer in it and a huge supporter of it. But I think it has been used as a filter. It allows agencies to look at candidates with a little bit more care, or that's not the right word, but I'm going to use filter again because I can't think of something else.
Yeah.
It allows it to sort of to look at the people and go, okay, do they understand the fundamentals? Because creativity is, I guess, it's not intangible, but it's one of those things that's, you know, who's to say you are or you aren't creative? And sometimes in a world where we are blending sort of art and commerce, you need to have a balance. You know, if I wore no shoes and grew my hair down to my butt crack and painted portraits for a long period of time, I'm a creative, and that's amazing. And it'd be a nice existence, wouldn't it? Bloody hell, maybe I should do that. But
so how do you choose people to join BAD if it's not, you know, award school and uni and stuff like that?
Look, we definitely look to both of those things, right? And I think gut feel plays a huge role in who fits the culture. And again, culture is a big word that you hear sort of smashed down a little bit, but it is incredibly important in the creative sector. It's changed. You know, I remember early days walking into KWP and long before that as a child in the hallways of Young and Rubicon, culture was craziness. It was energy. It was it was motivating. And I think it still is. It's just a different thing. We look to that probably first as an agency and know that with the right people, the right cultural fit and the right enthusiasm to get the job done, there is a lot of on-the-job training that comes with that. At a time where we are right now with sort of high speed growth and those kind of things, unfortunately, you can't always just do the on the job. You need people to land in a chair and know how to do it. So therefore, award schools and those kind of things work really, really well. But I think the best thing to sort of focus on is when you're bringing or stepping into an agency or new people coming in looking for a job, it's understanding why you're there.
Yes.
A lot of people, a lot of young creatives come in and they want a job because it's cool, because they go, that'd be fun. I want to do that. But at the end of the day, let's remember, we're all cogs in a machine and we've got a job to do. So what value are you going to add to that agency? And in turn, what value are you going to add to that agency's clients?
Yeah, perfect. Well, speaking of clients, we can cut this out if you don't want to have the name, the brands listed, but you've worked with Pause Fest, South Australia, Bigford's, Endless, Matolo, Adelaide Uni, Bank SA, Beer and Barbecue Festival, Coopers, and more. How do you get those clients, or how do you get your clients?
Firstly, I think you rattled that list off incredibly boringly, and I'm disappointed. You need to really put some pizzazz in there. Yeah, they're the logos we have on our website, mate. You did your research. Well done. I think for us, mate, we always started in that, as I said, sort of, or alluded to, project-based, right? It was like, let's get a project, work on that partnership. For us, there's sort of 2, 3, 4 tiers of clients. You know, there are those jobs that come up once or twice and we give them our all and we really enjoy it, but we know that it's a fleeting process. Then there are the other side of the spectrum and many in between that are very much like all in. We work on them daily, hourly, etc., etc. Oh, that soda water, it's so gassy. Lie does not work with me. I have more. So how do we get those clients? Sorry, was that the question? I was waffling bullshit.
So is it like through word of mouth, or, you know, your personal branding or socials or SEO or?
Yeah, a little bit of all of those, mate. I think our personal brand is a big part of that and was quite literally designed to, the same way award school does for young kids, filter the types of clients people work with. You know, when you look at the market of agencies and then you look at sort of this weird black box in the corner called BAD and a bunch of people that don't even tell you how they make any money, you're a little bit sort of curious, and curiosity is a really, really important part of creativity. And partnership is a really, really important part of great work when it comes to an agency and a client relationship. So in the very early days of the agency, we didn't have any clients. We didn't leave KWP with a list of clients up our sleeve. We were sort of naked in the breeze, and it was fantastic. But I think it started with us knocking on doors and sort of going, hey, we're from BAD. We'd love to have a chat, you know, rah, rah, rah. And what was really nice about our branding and the way it was presented is it actually filtered out the people that were not going to be a right fit. If you're going to sort of sit and meet with two fucking peanut kids from a company called BAD telling you they're going to build your business and do some great marketing, you're either going to go, fuck it, let's give them a shot, or absolutely not. That sounds ridiculous. So for us, the sort of black box, we used to sort of reference it as the black gates. If you're interested sort of stick your head through the door and have a bit of a peek as to what we've got to offer, you're already potentially a little bit of a risk taker. So and a really great alignment.
Even from the start, you were filtering out people and that trying to match this new brand that you were making?
Absolutely. Like from the very beginning, we were wanting to sort of find our lane, you know, and I think we needed to make sure we had partners in that process that really fitted our growth and what we were trying to achieve. Now, don't get me wrong, we also needed money. So we took on a few other projects that were quite safe. And I think, you know, there have been times where BAD was broke ass dudes. There were times when it was brave and dangerous. And there is times like now where it's branding, advertising and design. And I guess they're all different disguises for the same group of peanuts with a bit of a passion.
Yeah. Well, nowadays then, are you doing the same thing? Are you knocking on doors, or what does your day-to-day look like?
Look, a huge amount of running around like I'm on fire. That's how my day looks. But a huge amount of it, mate, is repeat business, and I'm very proud of that. Right. I think if you look back at the years, for me, that's the one thing that really makes me smile. Yeah, I think we've got a fantastic team. We've got an incredible ability and a skill set in here that I you know, it fills my tank. You know, I really am so pleased to see the people we have with us and around us producing the work they do. And that includes the clients, the repeat clients, the people that are sort of trust in us, believe in what we can achieve, and together make something really fucking special. But that said, also, because of that, we get a huge amount of referral work. And strangely, a few people still come in, sticking their head in the door going, well, who are you? You look cool. I don't know what that is, but they kind of, you know, that's the kind of stuff that gets referenced. And I think that curiosity brings a lot of people our way. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So what would you say are the 3 most important personality traits as the director of the agency? As the director of an agency? As the director, yeah. All right. Personality resilient. Traits. Yeah, personality. Okay, you got to be resilient. Yeah. You've definitely got to be excitable. You know, I think I'm a person that can do the same thing over and 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 over again. Yet somehow find something really different and really engaging in every single version. And that's probably kept me going, because let me tell you, it is a little bit Groundhog Day from time to time. But at the same time, I say that, and it's not quite true or fair, because who knows what's going to fucking happen in the next 5 minutes? You know, a new job could come in. There's always a new problem to solve, which is something I really like. So what have I said? What did I say? What were the first 2? I'm looking at the questions and trying to look on camera. Fucking listening. I'm not here to take notes. I thought you were. But look, I'll give you a third one without even knowing what the others are. Yeah. I think imagination is a big part of it, you know. And I don't just mean that from a creative perspective. I think, you know, there's a little bit of that sort of, if you believe in the dream that is in front of you, be it a blank piece of paper that you need to write a script on, or the actors you need something from on set, down to the people you're employing and the projection of the business, you've got to have imagination in that space. It works in every creative sector around the world. It's a bit of a weird one, but I think it is a sort of like, if you dream it, you can achieve it within reason, provided you've also got resilience and whatever that other one I said was, because I can't remember that. An ability to look at things that are always the same, slightly differently, whatever that is, perspective, I guess. So what are the 3 most important technical skills, would you say? Being the director. You don't need technical skills. You learn those. I've always had reasonable people skills. I think I've always had a little bit of fast-paced ideation. You know, come up with something quickly and not be too attached. You know, throw an idea out there, and if it's shit, let it fall. You know. Absolutely. And I think the other technical skills would sort of fall into, I don't know, accounting or some shit. I don't do that. I have no idea. I don't even know how to turn zero on. But I think your technical skill sets really evolve. Yeah. I think, you know, in South Australia, we have, you know, fantastic agency leads from an account side. You know, we have fantastic agency leads from a creative design side, from a creative concept side, from, you know, in every category,
Yeah.
they all learn that it's not what you thought it was going to be. And the ones that survive are the ones that have those traits to keep moving forward with energy and passion.
Yeah. Well, taking it back to the start, I mean, you talked about just knocking on doors and stuff, but landing your first client, you obviously, I'm presuming you couldn't take your portfolio from KWP and the other agencies. So did
No.
you create a fake portfolio, or kind of how'd you land that first one? Was it just, scratching at the door saying I'll do it for free, or?
No, it was a funny one. I think it's important. I think working for free is a really powerful tool.
Yeah.
I think if you back it in and you are really committed to your craft, I think working for free can really, really boost and turbo your career. But you've got to be careful with how you do that.
Yeah.
Working for free is very different for working for sort of long-term valued partnership,
Yes.
I think if it's a commitment to proving a point, then go for it. If it's, please take one, then that's a different story.
Yeah. Right.
For us, early days, geez, it's hard to sort of think back, mate. I know we had a few phone calls and a few people come in. I think
was it like a small job? Do you know, like or was it straight out of the gate?
No, it was $300,000 was the first. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I don't remember. I do remember, there was a few sort of relationships I'd had in the industry and around the industry. Obviously, don't go too details, but I do remember a reasonable job coming in as one of the early projects.
Right.
That was very helpful. And don't forget too, we'd been coming out of KWP at a really, really exciting time. It wasn't like we'd sort of come out of uni to start this process. Myself and my business partner, Michael, had I guess a little bit of a reputation around town, and we knew what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah.
Although it didn't look that way, when it came down to our craft, we very much did. And that certainly worked in our.
Well, so at KWP, you were, I stalked your LinkedIn. It said creative genius. What does that mean? And how'd you use those skills to start Bad?
I never liked sort of titles and bits and pieces. In fact, one of the things I really enjoyed about the early days of KWP, and for those that sort of know the history of the agency and whatnot, I was lucky enough to spend time with the K and the W still walking the halls and love them dearly, and Andrew and Pete. And they were a bit the same. I think there was a story that when someone came in, there was an argument over titles and who had what title. And I make the assumption it was Peter Withy, but I can't quite remember. He went, well, that's it. No more real titles. They're all stupid. So when I started, my title was Idol Judge. I've always had sort of ridiculous hair and was into making music at the time. But we had nuclear physicists. We had all sorts of things as people's titles, whilst their role was not that point, but their email titles were things. I used to change mine all the time, much to the disappointment of, I'm sure, my creative director at the time. Creative genius I put down because I think I didn't really have a box. I was technically a copywriter at KWP. In fact, I remember Googling when I got home, what does a copywriter really do? When I first got the job. But I think for me, I saw it as idea man, and then with a love for production and all things video and execution, I sort of saw it as a broader term. Is genius a little bit of an oversell? Yes, but we're in advertising, and overselling is what we do.
What's your your favorite project you've worked on at Bad?
Bad.
Yeah. The branding for Bad.
100%, man. I think I've been using huge amounts of my enthusiasm and creative energy to build a business, and it's incredibly rewarding. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done. But would do it all over again. And I think continue to do so. But I think, to answer your question properly, there's been many jobs. I think we've had jobs that have taken us overseas for shoots and all those bits and pieces. And I think many copywriters over the years have always started a script with, we open on a beach in Fiji. We were lucky enough. We couldn't get to Fiji, but we got to Bali, and we've done New Zealand, and we've done a few of those bits and pieces. And I think they're really, really exciting. I think opening doors to relationships interstate has always been a big vision of ours. And unfortunately, as we all know, the last 2 years have been a bit challenging in that space. We've really got some good relationships there and clients over the borders. Those kind of things will stand out. But, it's funny. I think I've always lived and breathed the line that my father used to say, whether he got it from someone else or whatever, and he was in the ad game, he used to say, you're only as good as your next ad. Yeah. And I've always believed that, I think people come in often with a folio of their work, and I don't often look at it. It's more about what can you do next. I think if we focus on how good we were, we won't continue to improve. And for me, continuing to improve is ultimately the most important thing, and is certainly an attribute to a great creative. Because if you told me what you did last week and you're doing nothing this week, I don't know how well you're going.
As you were saying, do you think you could land clients interstate now to do something, or do you think they would rather work with someone closer?
Oh, for sure. No. Okay. I know we could, and we can, and we are, and we do. We just had a new project with some people in Western Australia, and it's great. But for me, I love that human interaction stuff, and it's a real challenge. And equally too, mate, I am a diehard passionate South Australian. There is so much to be done here. Not that we're doing anything necessarily wrong. I just think there's some really cool stuff that we could all be doing. And I think that for me outweighs the potential possibilities of interstate stuff. I'm not saying I don't want to do it, and I do it, and I enjoy it when we do. But I think we've got clients that have a number of clients with national footprints and things, and it's good to get out there and explore their businesses and how they're interacted with in other states. But oh my God, that's the water. Soda water's kicked at me. It's easy to do, probably easier than ever with Zoom, and you can still be entertaining. You can still have those same conversations. You can still engage. And to a strange degree, I'm surprised not more people are doing that. I'm not aware of a huge amount of embrace. We're not seeing people being stolen by Zoom businesses, et cetera. It's just a new way of working. I don't know. I mean, I love all this stuff. I said to you, let's do the Zoom one, and I'll get it all set up, and we'll do some crazy shit and light it. I didn't do any of that. I think the reality is this is the same as someone walking in a door now and sitting down and having a chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we all stop making jokes about not having pants on though? I'm over that.
So that's really the next thing you change.
It would have been so good. It'd be so good if I stood up, walked away, and didn't have pants on. I'm not there. I'm not there.
So someone looking to start an ad agency now, what's your biggest piece of advice? Other than don't compete with you, but what's your biggest piece of advice? To start one. After that, I'm going to ask, what's your biggest advice to get work in one?
Biggest piece of advice to anyone wanting to start an agency. For me, it would be prepare to run a business. And I think, I've had a couple of businesses in the past. I've been involved in businesses and things. This one is harder. This is a seriously challenging business. No matter how you look at it, at every level, we're a service industry, at every level, you are dealing with people, personalities, problems, more than many other industries. And being an agency, like many great agencies, that doesn't have some cookie cutter bullshit buy package too. Everything we do is tailored and bespoke, built around a solution. You're constantly starting again. It never ends. We have a saying in the world down there that says play it again, because that's what you're ever doing. You're just, since the start, it's never stopped beginning again.
But before I ask, working in an ad agency, you touched on you had a few other businesses. What were the...
I've lost sound. I've lost audio. I can't hear you.
I think it's cutting out. We'll just get to the next question.
Oh, shit. I was involved in the establishment and kickoff of Distill on Rundle Street with a group of mates. So we built that bar, and that was really great because that was a branding story. You know, that was really about how to, at the time there were no sort of high-end cocktail bars around. We were noticing a bit of a health trend coming in. I mean, we're talking, this is like 2005, 2006 type time. We decided to sort of do, we called it Distill the Health Bar. That the health bar part is long gone now, let me tell you. But that was all, you know, a bit of brand, you know, and even the way we sort of marketed that, we wanted to sell it before it launched as a bit of a magazine. We never produced one, but we made covers for a magazine and posted them all over the place. We thought it was something interesting, and we knew our target audience. We hit it, and we opened those doors with just absolute floods of people, and we had a fantastic time. And I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about problem solving, and I learned a lot about myself in that process. And there's been many other iterations of those kind of things. And I think that's one of the things that when you are, if anyone's starting a business, anyone's starting an agency or any business, be prepared to learn a fuck ton about yourself. And embrace it, because you can only improve. I think if you think you know everything, you don't, as the old saying goes. And that's a really cool piece of advice to give to anyone. So retract my previous one if I made a point, and make it that point.
Beauty. So the next question then, anyone looking to work in an agency, what's your advice?
Send me your resume. I think talk to as many people as possible. You know, I love that you are doing this. It reminds me of Hayley Craig many years ago, who now lives in New Zealand. She was a fantastic creative at Clemenger and then at KWP. She started a thing called Hungry Creatives, which was really interesting, and interviewed a lot of people and talked about the same thing. How do you get into the industry? And she ended up winning the watering can before the ADC watering can before she was even in an agency, to some people's issue and all sorts of things. But it was really interesting. And I think if you want a way in, find a way in, and it's your way in. There isn't one way to get a job in an agency. Everyone's had a different one. I know people that started as receptionists in big agencies and they're still there today. I know people that have done awards and climbed in the door and had a great time. There's a million ways in, right? But there's not many ways out, put it that way, right? Once you're in the door, you're in for life, hopefully. So I think it's about making sure it's a very individual entry. You know, how you come in is important. I tend to host the getting started session of ad school or award school every year. It's the last session. You've done all the training, you've been beaten up, you're stressed, your folio's in for judgment. And the last session is to sit with me and talk about, you know, what happens next. Generally, my point is, and genuinely, my point is, don't lose sight of you. Everyone, soda water's killing me. Why am I still drinking it? It's just better than normal water. It's better. It's better than normal water. I think a lot of people in the early stages of their career, and rightly so, they want to duplicate, or they want to do what they are asked to do, right? And they wait for a creative director to say, hey, try this. And then they just do that. You know, and that's cool. Like, don't do what we don't say, but like, you know, you have to add sprinkles. You know what I mean? You've got to give yourself, because for two reasons. I think one, you're paid to do a job, and your creativity in whatever version that is really, really important. You need to always stay crafting. Don't get me wrong. But the second point is, if you don't do that, you lose ownership over the work you're producing, and therefore your work will slip, because you need to be justifying everything you decide. You need, you'll be questioned on it. And if you're questioned on it and someone says, why is it a purple circle? You need to be able to tell me why. Because if someone says, I don't know, someone suggested a circle and someone said purple's a nice color. Why the fuck are you there? You know, I'll just download Canva. Like you need to give a piece of yourself. And I think that's what our industry does. It takes pieces. They're kind of free, like imagination and ability in these spaces. It's kind of free stuff. Like, we'd be doing it anyway. You're doing it anyway now. But you need to make sure you're giving away little pieces of you all the time. Otherwise, anyone can do it.
Yeah, well said. So a young creative looking to join, should they have, do you think, a broad range of skills that they're like pretty good at? Or do you think they should have one skill that they specialize in? So copywriter, designer, yada, yada.
It really, really depends.
Yeah.
It very much comes down to the individual. I think both of those are right. I love what I call a Swiss Army knife person. I am one. Where you can jump all over the place. It doesn't mean you're great in every area, but it means you're enthusiastic to try. And alternatively, if you're really, you really excel in one particular space, it would be foolish of someone like me to say, hey, now you can jump over here and do this because it's not the right fit. So they're both accurate, but it's important that you know that. I think being the early days of working in an agency, a creative agency in particular, fucking soda water, sorry about the burping. In the early days of working in an agency, you'll get beaten up. And the person that does the most beating up of you is you, because you want to try and deliver. And I think that's a really important process to go through. You need to sort of find your stripes and hone your craft and do all those kind of things. But listen to the advice you give yourself. Listen to the sort of the challenges and learn from them along the way. So you might come into an agency going, nah, this is me. I am this person. And you might, if you listen to yourself, you might learn, well, maybe I'm actually more than multi-skilled individual, or maybe I'm in the wrong thing and I'd actually prefer to be in production, or, there's a million ways. It's not just about being in the creative department. I think every person in this agency here is creative. They're not all in the creative department, and they are not all the sort of the typical creative. But I know my account service people are creative when they answer a phone call from a panicked client. They get real creative real quick.
So how many hours do you work a week?
All of them.
All of them? That's a good answer.
It's like I do this. I do this for free, man. Like any creative, you talk to any creative, it's fucking 2 a.m. where they come up with an idea. It's we are all sponges to our environment, and what sits in the sort of the far recesses of our mind and memory are usually what make up the solutions that we're producing. So I say you're always on, and it's a great way to live. I mean, it's also awful, and it's borderline self-harming, but it's so much fun.
We'll cut that bit out. They don't need to know that.
Get rid of it.
So your agency can be a bit, unconventional. Does that hinder you from getting clients, or does that get you more, do you think? I mean, we talked about it gets you the right kind of clients you want to work with, but
I think it does. I definitely think it does. I think it does hinder us a little bit. I think, we're no longer the new sort of street kids. We are an established agency with a number of very skilled people with a fantastic portfolio of clients. And I think sometimes we do still get overlooked by certain industry bodies or groups or corporates to sort of go, nah, that's not, they're the little guys. And look, I'm not saying we're a big agency at all, but I think our skill and ability is equal to any other agency. It's just about making that decision. I mean, do we want to change to be that, or CMA? Do we want to change to be that, or do we want to stay who we know we are? And be true to that, and then wait for those people to realize, oh, we fucked up.
Talk about money for a second. When in the conversation with a client, does money come up, and then how do you navigate that talk if that's too much, that's too little, yada yada?
Isn't it funny how much we all love money but all hate talking about it?
I know. It's so taboo.
It's so weird. By the way, I didn't get that payment from you. It seemed to have bounced for this interview.
I think my internet dropped out when I sent it.
You said that, because we'll do it later.
Yeah, no.
That's fine. I think a lot of people deal with money that way, right? Is you defer it. And we did it too, mate. Like, in the early days, and we talked about before, like working for free. A lot of the time, the free part is on the assumption. Like, the client goes like, yeah, cool, do this. And the job is X. You know, you do a lot of extra work in that free category. We fucking still do. Every agency still does. There is no agency just going fucking bank and doing nothing. But I think the conversation about money is a funny one, and you need to manage it based on the person you're having that conversation with, because everyone treats money differently. Money is fucking important, right? But one thing I talk about is money is oxygen. Like there's a lot of fucking oxygen in this room right now, right? But if I sealed off every corner, would I be more conscious of how much I'm talking right now? Probably. If you can sort of understand that there are cracks in the walls and the windows will open and more will come in, you can have a bit more of an open combo. And I think in 2021, money is a really interesting topic because everyone's treating it differently for a multitude of different reasons. But to answer your question, I think it's important to know where you feel you sit, know your value. At the end of the day, if someone's going to pay you $1,000 for a job, are you worth 500? Are you worth 1,500? Or are you worth 1,000? You know, you need to know where you sit, whether it's $1,000 or not. You need to know where you sit, and you need to be able to communicate that with your customer.
And do you communicate that by saying, you know, here's our portfolio, this is what we're worth? Or do you say, you know we're going to get you these results, so it's worth the investment? Or, you know, how do you get that across?
Again, it's probably a little bit of both, mate. You know, I think we will pick clients that we know we won't make a heap of cash on, but they're great fun and we can fill our creative tank on it. And in the end of the day, I call those badge clients. A lot of the time, badge clients are great ones to talk about and brag about and have a laugh about, not at their expense. I mean, with them and do some great stuff, you know? But then also with those projects, you'll often find there's a little bit more sort of freedom and creativity from both sides of the fence. I think then if you want to know what our hourly rate is for the particular role and exactly how many hours we're going to use to produce something, it's a very transactional interaction. And I'm not saying that's bad either, right? And we all have to track our time and everyone's got a budget to work to. But I do think it impacts the creative, not necessarily result, but it impacts the creative process quite a bit, because I think we see the relationships as slightly different. Now, I should be careful in saying that. I don't mean any disrespect.
No, I get it.
In that point, but you know, having the conversation early is important. But it might be like, if you said to me, I'm going to produce a red square for, not red square, is that still around? If I'm going to produce a purple cucumber, I think it's an aubergine. It's an aubergine, isn't it? Right? Why am I picking weird things? Anyway, a pink duck. I'm going to paint you a pink duck, and the pink duck is going to cost you $3,000. If the client then said, "Oh, I've only got 2,200," are you going to paint the same pink duck?
Or do you paint it without feet? Exactly.
Right? Like it's a funny conversation, and having that up front is really, really important. When you go into a retainer model, you've got to show efficiency as much as possible. People don't want to waste money. They're a retainer for value and for ease. When it's project based, I'm very upfront. You know, it's slightly more expensive. It's not, but it's going to cost you the full tote as opposed to any other efficiencies that you'll find in there. Money's always going to be a hard conversation to have. We try to talk budgets and expectation, value and return as early as possible in the piece.
Absolutely. And then
but a lot of people do that.
How many clients does an agency your side need to be, you know, healthy? And then do you plan out in the year? Obviously you can't think, oh, in 11 months I'm going to land this client. So how do you like plan out the year in terms of all of that?
It's funny. The answer is more. Every agency always wants more. But that's not necessarily right. You know, I've sat with, a great relationship with Jamie Scott and had plenty of conversations with him from Show Pony and talked about their journey and how that sort of mirrors our journey. And it's a very sort of watching my numbers and what's going on and growths and challenges. It's all quite the same. I mean, I think at certain stages we were relative to overheads more profitable when we were leaner with less Then you go through a stage where you pick up a bunch of work, and then you actually need more overheads to deliver that work. And it's a sort of an ever expanding circle. It contracts from time to time too, don't get me wrong. But you're always trying to find that balance of output to input. Most agencies around the world tend to operate at a similar profit margin within reason, but they tend to. And we're no different. We look for optimizations, and we look for efficiencies, and we look to find not the simplest solution, not the cheapest solution, the best solution for both parties to produce good work with good results for a good margin. I remember KWP's sort of slogan and values back in the day was, and I'll fuck it up. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Andrew. It was like, do good work, make a fair profit, and have fun. Maybe have fun, do good. It was have fun, do good work, make a fair profit. And I think that's a really good way to embrace the process of, producing an agency or of any type. I guess we are kind of the same. We're sort of having fun, doing great work. Sometimes it's just good. It's not always great, but
I don't need
and we make a fair profit. I think that's what you want to try and do. But at the same time, like a big part of it for me, and I a big part is I want to also make an agency that's a great place to be. I want people to enjoy what they're doing, have a lot of fun, feel free enough to be brave with their decisions. Take ownership, speak honestly, and think openly about their careers and what they're producing. And I think we've got that. It always needs improvement, and it always needs adjustment, but I hope that's the takeaway from anyone that spends time with us internally or from a client perspective.
Yeah. Well, speaking of having fun, what's the craziest idea that you've pitched and that won? Because I'm presuming you do quite a fair amount of pitches, but what's the craziest that you've actually managed to land?
There are so many. Do you mean ones that actually went ahead? I don't even know. I don't they're not even
unless you want to share.
Ones. No,
Sorry,
there are some, mate, that are so bad. I can't even I wouldn't even put them to public. I know there's ideas that have been thrown around the room that clients may have giggled at, but we've all gone, if we did that, we may all go to prison. There's many. I think
what's the best that landed then?
One of the things that's really funny is and it's probably, it could just be a me thing, but it's a real problem. I tend to forget what I did 15 minutes ago. I guess I'm always focusing on what happens next, We've done nut stuff. We've had a lot of fun producing chaotic things, but I genuinely do forget. I mean, I remember trying to, and it never went ahead, but it got poo-pooed. I remember for Beer and Barbecue Festival, we tried to get up a running with the pigs down Rundle Mall, like running with the bulls, and let a bunch of pigs in the streets and shit. That all got poo-pooed because we thought animal rights. They were already, the vegan society was all over the festival anyway. I mean, that was gonna be a problem. I don't know. It's a funny one. I wish I could answer that. In fact, you might have given me a new challenge, is to make sure next time someone asks me that, I've got this fucking totally insane answer. Fuck, that's annoyed me. I really enjoyed this interview until you asked me that question, because now I got no idea, and I don't feel.
I'll cut it out.
I know my personality trait too, man. I'll be like, even if it was fucking crazy, it wouldn't be crazy enough.
So, lastly, to finish it off, speaking of looking forward, what's your goals with BAD from moving forward from now? 5 years, 2 years, 20 years.
Yeah, really cool. Vision for me for the next sort of 2 to 5, the next 10 minutes. I'm really enjoying the growth stage that we're in.
Yeah.
I want to manage that really, really fucking well.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just pour people into this place, and I don't want to just pour new projects into this place. I want to make sure we are doing what I was talking about, like creating a space where we can all enjoy what we're producing, do it, mindfully, and do it with purpose. I think, don't get me wrong, like, we're having a great time, we're having a lot of fun. We're fucking busy. There are people in here working on 3 jobs at every fucking 10-minute interval, and And it's like a lot of agencies around town. It's a crazy period of time. So I want to manage that growth really, really well. You know, we've got new people coming in, and I'm always willing to spend time, and I'm excited to talk to new people like yourself and like anyone listening about what they're wanting and where they may fit into the mold. But I think if we can continue to manage our growth, I'd like to see our agency, you know, grow up.
Okay.
I think that's a big part of it. I think, you know, when we started this business, my son, my second child, was 2 months old. Yeah. My wife thought, you are fucking what? Quitting your job and doing what? Yeah. And it's funny, like I can look at him. He's obsessed with Ninja Turtles at the moment, which is like, yeah, that's cool. But like, I can look at him and I know where we are at as a business. You know, we are almost exactly the same age as a company. And I think in 4 years, he's been learning to color in between the lines and form letters and do things. We're kind of still learning the same thing, you know, we've learned to walk, we've learned to talk. We've learned our personality, and that's changing all the time, but they're the real formative years, right? We've learned who to trust. We've learned who not to trust. And now it's about sucking in the universe and exploring all the world has to offer. Yeah. And I reckon like that's a good articulation of where we are as a business and why managing that growth is so incredibly important.
Yeah, that was the perfect ending. That was perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, mate. I really appreciate it. That was perfect. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll do a separate. You know what? I might sign off now. Thanks for watching the third episode of Adelaide Creatives. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button, and let me know if I should make more of these. This has been Adelaide Creatives on Creative Juice Without Pop.
See you later, mother.
All right. Cheers, man. I won't hold you back too much, but thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
Don't be silly, man. I'm really pleased you're doing this. I'm very thankful to be a part of it. I think these are those special things, mate, that you'll look back on for many, many years as a great value moment in your creative career. And I think, as you well know, there's a huge audience of people out there that will consume this with great, you know, I can't think of the word, but a lot of focus and a lot of thank you from their perspective. I feel certain.
Yeah.
See you, mate. I'll talk to you real soon.
Cool. Cheers, man. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.